I flipped out. This is not okay. Think the worst. Think the worst. They're bringing us to Ron, fire us. Shy 19-year-old girl to now, like, I just kept telling myself, like, you deserve this. You've worked your butt off. Like, you deserve this.
Welcome everyone to Ring the Bell, this is DS, and today we are here with the Virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo! How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
So we're in the global pandemic crisis, and it's been about 2 weeks since the Black Wednesday. How are you doing?
It's funny that everyone's calling that. I'm okay, honestly. Like, I've been okay. It's a little scary just because we are in this pandemic, and like, work is not something I can go get tomorrow, but overall, I'm just happy. Like, I'm happy and relieved.
So today I want to go through some of your career highlights in NXT and WWE. And I want to start from Mae Young Classic. You've had some WWE and NXT appearances before, sometimes within a mask. But Mae Young Classic is really the time when you showed the character of Virtuosa. Starting from the first Mae Young Classic, you were in there as an alternate. Like, what does that mean? And did you know before going into the tournament?
So I didn't know that I was going to be an alternate until about 2 weeks prior to taping. Everyone was supposed to kind of get an email or a phone call, like detailing what you would be doing and how far you would be going, stuff like that. And I didn't get that. I had emailed and I had said, listen, I'm just a little bit confused. Like, I haven't heard anything back. And then Canyon had called me and basically just said, like, listen, you're 33 out of 32. Like, you're going to be an alternate. And at that point, it was kind of like, well, what else is freaking new? Like, that is me, I went for the week and kind of just hung around. You got to do everything that the girls did in terms of, like, the car wash and doing, all the events that they did and stuff throughout the week. But, like, and then the funny story is, like, okay, so I'm supposed to be the next one picked. God forbid someone doesn't clear medical or someone gets hurt. And I still wasn't the next person picked. It was very much like, I was just kind of bummed. Because as far as I knew, I was in the tournament. And it was just kind of like, what else is new? This is my role here.
But when it comes to the second Mae Young Classic, you are on a top 4, which really shows that WWE was trusting you. They really wanted to showcase you. Is that, again, something you knew going into the tournament, or is that some kind of a system where the result kind of reflects on how you do earlier in the tournament?
So I didn't know going into the tournament just about how far I would go because I was signed. So I didn't get that phone call. I didn't get, like, that beforehand stuff. It was just kind of like, you're going to be a part of this. And then, like, the days leading up to, we kind of, once everyone from the tournament got there, you kind of knew what your first round match was. You put it together, then the second and the third, and so on. So I made it to the semifinals. And yeah, it was nice just because it was like a little bit of a redemption story that I could tell. And I feel like there was a few people that got to tell that story, but they had been in the tournament. And my story was just a little bit different because it came from being an alternate. I'm going to prove you wrong. Whether I did that or not is up for debate now, I guess, but that's very much how I felt.
What was your favorite match from Mae Young Classic?
I mean, I liked all 3 of my matches, and I feel like they each got to showcase me in a different way, but I really loved my match with Zaya.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she, for my time in NXT, was one of my favorite people to work with. I just felt like she was so new, and that was kind of like the breakout matches that she had. Her first round with Karen, and then her second round with me. And I just loved everything that we got to put together. I loved our dynamics, and I think it really showcased us both.
So let's talk about the Virtuosa coming to NXT and the Performance Center. What does Virtuosa mean? Like, what does it mean to you?
When I picked Virtuosa, I kind of just wanted something that was a little bit different than, like, the technician or the mechanic or, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have a somewhat technical wrestling style. When I was in Ring of Honor, they kind of were like, you need a moniker, you need something along those lines. So Virtuosa, the definition is like a person with outstanding technical ability. And then the other definition is like someone who has a cultivated appreciation for artistic excellence. It's really used for people that are like masters at like playing an instrument or at dance. Just it's very like for creative people. And I thought that really fit just for wrestling in general.
So obviously this is a character you started from ROH time. How did it transform through your journey in WWE? And was there any direction that WWE gave you with it?
There wasn't like a whole lot of direction that they gave me, except I didn't really understand. Like, no one could really understand what it meant, no matter the words I put it in. It's like, this is an actual word and it has an actual definition. How don't you understand? And that's kind of why I, developed ring jackets that were more elaborate and got more elaborate gear so we could bring that more artistic element into it. I went in like a literal terms of like, I'm smart, so I'm going to use these big fancy words like precision and dedication and stimulus and tried to give it to them that way of like, and now I'm like library book smart, which wasn't understood either. And then I was just like, at the end was like, I'm just going back to like the Ring of Honor, I'm going to kick your ass days. Because I didn't know how else to explain it. I tried with vignettes and, doing it with outside people and then doing it in the lab at the Performance Center and, filming promos on my own at home and really trying to like find who the Virtuosa was in all aspects, but it just wasn't clicking. It became frustrating, but in the long run, it really helped me now because I have beautiful gear. I have beautiful ring attire. Like, I have more of a grasp of who the Virtuosa is, whether it be book smart or just like brawler kind of lady that's gonna break your arm. There's like a happy medium between that I think I've found.
Do you think that's more of your actual personality, like being a book smart and like poised and meticulous?
I think so. I don't know if people would agree because I can get crazy and loud and I'm Italian, so I get aggressive. But
I see.
I think like who I am in real life is like, I like to be elaborate and I like to think out my next move and I like to plan for arguments and be very precise about how I say things. So when I get the opportunity to be like that, I think that I really am very much like the Virtuosa. We
got to see some of the transformation with your hair, which was like beautifully gray. I think is it still there or is it gone? No. And then just beautiful gear, the beautiful jacket. That's something that you came up with alone.
Yeah, so a few people, like, I feel like a lot of people go through transformations with hair color and gear styles and stuff when they go to NXT because it is very much like an experimental period. And a few people close to me, we kind of went back and forth about like, what else can I change about me? Why do people have gray hair and you're elders you're supposed to respect? And, they're smarter than you. So I was like, let's just give it a try. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, trying to get my dark hair blonde and light, and it killed all of my hair.
No, I feel you.
But I loved it. When I look at pictures of me with my dark hair, when I first started NXT, to the pictures of me with this curly gray, like beautiful long hair, I really think it again goes towards that transformation of like, there wasn't really direction, but I really tried to figure out who this character was in any way possible. And that included my hair color.
Is that just kind of norm in NXT to kind of use your own resources to like develop a character?
Yeah, and I think it's not just like an NXT thing. I think it's like a wrestling thing.
Okay.
No one can tell you something works until it works. That was a lot of the feedback that I got was like, I don't know what it is, but when we see it, that'll be it. And that's hard because you're like, well, you're racking your brain. Like, what else can I do? What else can I do? But I think just a lot of wrestling is like looking within yourself and thinking like, okay, well, I could maybe change this, or okay, maybe I could do that a little bit differently.
Speaking of the transformation of Virtuosa, we've all seen some tectonic changes in the industry where the Women's Revolution, Wednesday Night War, where a lot of demand for wrestling was about the spice, the oohs and ahs, and like the adrenaline rush. And the Virtuosa was very poised and meticulous. So how'd you see that character kind of melding into that oh my god moment seeking trend? I
think that had I been given a little bit more time on TV, given some matches that were to focus on me, I could have maybe translated into that a little bit more because I developed a second finisher, which is like an inverted suplex, and like on live events it got great reactions, and sequences that I did with some people on live events that were very much like the indie style wrestling that got great reactions, but unfortunately like there wasn't time on TV and it wasn't my role on TV, so I don't necessarily think people got to see like the lengths of what I could actually do. It was just very like snippets and things that are like old reliable that I could go to because we didn't have the time.
So now let's talk about everyone's favorite tag team that we were all anticipating for, the VXT.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen some variations of it online, some with just you and Chelsea, and some with even Rachel Evers.
Yeah, so that was actually one of Rachel's ideas.
Oh.
And she came to Chelsea and I and we're like, listen, there's there's a market in this tag team division. We have the women's tag team title belts now, and there's one tag team, 2 tag teams, maybe in NXT, but let's capitalize on this and let's try to pitch something with the 3 of us. We come from the same background. We're friends in real life. Like, let's try to make this a thing. And we filmed vignettes. We pitched it to them. And at first they didn't like it. And at first they were like, I don't really understand. I think we were like in our heads, like, let's be the female Undisputed Era. And I don't know that pitching it that way maybe was ideal. But then they saw us because we did a PC live show, which is like when you pitch ideas, they give you an opportunity to do it in front of your peers and kind of see.
Okay.
And then they really liked it. And then they were kind of like, okay, we're going to give you some live events. And Rachel and I had done a few things. I think maybe me and Chelsea tagged once or twice. I don't know that we got to do anything trio-wise on live events because then Rachel ended up getting hurt and she tore her ACL.
Got it, yeah.
And that's kind of at that point when Chelsea and I were like, okay, well, if we want this to work, we need to pitch it as just us as a tag team. And then when Rachel comes back, we'll be able to integrate her again.
Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo are about to leave the entire world vexed.
So that was kind of where it came from. It was like a Rachel creation that unfortunately, because she got hurt, became a me and Chelsea kind of thing. It was fun. And I like, those are people that came from my life before NXT. So it was really nice to like work with them and kind of put all these ideas together with them to see if it could work.
I mean, so we've seen the logo, the promotional pics, matching gear, and even merch on Pro Wrestling Tees. So how far did WWE like really supported you in that?
I don't know. I like you said, like at first they didn't really like it. I don't think they really understood it.
Okay.
And then once they saw us together, they were like, okay, this could be something. Chelsea and I had our own merch up like on Big Cartel anyway. And we were kind of like doing our own things in terms of like marketing and branding ourselves outside of NXT. So I think like lines got blurred a little bit between what VXT was and just what Chelsea and I were doing. And then VXT almost debuted as a tag team.
Yeah.
On NXT TV. So it was really like, it became a thing and they got some traction in terms of what NXT was looking for, but ultimately they decided, not to go with it.
There was a point in NXT where there were a lot of great women's tag team. There was VXT, Hire, Horsewomen, Team Kick, Xia Li and Karen Q sometimes tagged, but then they all kind of disappeared. Do you think there's some direction where WWE is moving away from women's tag team?
I mean, you'd have to assume. But I don't really know if there's any rhyme or reason for that. Like I said, like Rachel got hurt, Karen got hurt. There was like a bunch of injury after injury that kind of happened. Hires split up when Aaliyah went and got hurt. So kind of just like, I think that all of the injuries were detrimental to the tag division.
Earlier this year, when all the news sites were talking about NXT superstars being a big call up to Raw, and you had a match on Raw, you've been traveling with Raw. What exactly happened?
I don't know. I don't know. It's as big of a mystery to me and Chelsea.
Oh my God.
Anyone else? We just randomly got a call or a text, not even a call, a text saying like, you girls are booked for Raw on Monday and confirm you got this message. So we were like, that's weird. Okay. And then we got on the plane and we were still like, think the worst. Like, they're bringing us to Raw to fire us. Like, we had no idea what was going on until we got there. And then I was wrestling Asuka, and she had a match with Charlotte, and it was kind of like, okay, this is real, and this is really, really good.
Yeah.
This would be really good for us. I think we just, like, took the ball and kind of rolled with it, and we impressed, and we both did, like, really great with those matches, and we got called back. We kept going back for, like, a month. And then, like, they had some creative ideas for Chelsea down in NXT, so she kind of stopped going, and then I went a few more weeks, and then, I was told there was some creative direction for me in NXT, and it ended up not being, but that's why I stopped going to Raw. So it was kind of like a crazy period for us too, because we were just rolling with it and had no idea what would be the outcome or what would happen.
That's so crazy, because when I was working in WWE in a social media team, we had no idea what was going on. We just have to figure out things by watching TV. Is that like how performers just generally operate too?
I think so. At least with like wrestling, definitely, because everything happens, at least in my experience, in my career, everything happens last minute. And I'm not ready whatsoever. And I'm scrambling to like be prepared. That's been like the theme of my life. So I think for me in wrestling, definitely, it's just kind of like I figure things out as they go and try to like connect all the pieces together to make it make sense.
And you talked about in other interviews that you are already preparing to leave WWE before this Raw call-up happened.
Yeah, I felt like, so with VXT, that was kind of like, in so many ways to put it, I guess, is like, kind of like our last ditch effort, because they hadn't done anything with Chelsea up until that point. I hadn't done anything up until that point, and we were like grasping for like new ideas to send them and pitch this to get us on TV. So when Chelsea was TV ready and I wasn't, I flipped out and I was like, this is not okay. Like, I have asked since I got here how to be TV ready. I want to be a TV star. Tell me what I need to do. And no one can tell me what I need to do. And now I'm getting an opportunity. I got the approval for this and now I'm not ready. I don't understand. And no one could really tell me why. And I just felt like every time something was going good, it was taken away, and there was some kind of preconceived notion about me that like I wasn't working hard enough or I wasn't doing all that I could, and now I wasn't TV ready and I was done with it. And I just said, like, if this is never going to be about me, if I'm killing myself week in, week out, training at the PC to never be successful here, then what am I doing? And I got like an email saying basically like, hey, listen, there's nothing for you. There's nothing coming up. Like, keep working hard. And that was the week before I went to Raw. So
got it, yeah.
It was like, we were kind of going on Christmas break, and I was like, well, Monday we're off. We're done for the year. So this would be the time to just wash my hands with this. And I wrote the email to ask to be released. And I got that email on Monday. On Friday, we got called to go to Raw. So it was like, oh, well, I was going to send this email on Monday. I guess I'm not.
It was in the draft and you deleted it.
It might still be in my draft.
It might be. It was almost like arms race with AEW, where they were stacking just really big name talents after talents. Did that ever give you like pressure of like, oh my God, how do I do with all these women that's coming in?
I don't necessarily think it was pressure with AEW. Okay. But it was definitely pressure within NXT. And I also feel like not just when AEW started, but from when I signed to NXT. Like, they had brought in so many women, whether it was like women from wrestling or from outside background. There was just a lot of women coming in that it was like, okay, but these women are getting opportunities and I'm not. And it's very much, like I said, it's very much a culture of like, be grateful. But it's also such a competitive culture because you're seeing these people every day and you're interacting with them every way in the same capacity, I feel, that, an NFL team would. You're training with them every day. You're vying for opportunities every day. And I very much felt like, this person's coming in and I'm 3 months ahead of them. They are bypassing everything I've had to do.
Got it, yeah.
And now I'm in a year and, this person comes in and again has bypassed everything that I've had to do and I continue to have to do. So I definitely felt pressure in terms of like, why am I not moving on? Why am I not being booked more for live events? There's road loops. Why am I not being booked for them? It was very much like, I'm not getting these opportunities and I don't know why. In the past few weeks, like, I've done these interviews and kind of put it on NXT, but I very much had to do self-reflection and be like, what more do you need from me? Okay, well, I've been through a couple traumatic months of my life. Like, I've definitely gained weight, so let's get back in shape. Like, I've definitely could be eating better and eating cleaner and working out harder, 100%. That I can control. But now there's a point of like, it's out of my control and it's you choosing. And you're not choosing me. And if you don't have a reason why, then there's no reason for me to be here.
Going back to Raw, your last match was with Nia Jax, and you have some interesting history with her because you also had a match with her when she just got to NXT.
My first match in NXT was with Nia. So then to have my last match and it kind of, over the last 5 years come full circle is really funny that it worked out that way. But Nia's always been great to me. Nia has always been generous and giving, and she's always taken care of me. So to have that match on Raw with her when she was just coming back from injury, and I don't want to say she wasn't confident, but she came back from injury. She got the call, and you're debuting Raw after WrestleMania. I can only imagine for anyone that's a little like, ooh,
Yeah.
like nerve-wracking. So I think we were both kind of just thankful to have that match and have it be with each other because we were comfortable.
So Nia Jax recently have been under a bit of a fire because people who watch TV thinks that she seems unsafe. What's your experience with Nia in that sense?
Yeah, like I said, I can only talk through my personal experience, and she's never hurt me. I've never been in a match with her where I felt uncomfortable or felt unsafe. I've never walked away with an injury. So I can only defend her in my experience and just know that like that's never happened or something I've experienced.
Since 2014, you've been in all the stages of WWE, from SmackDown, Raw, NXT, NXT UK. What's been your favorite show and what's been your favorite match?
I guess definitely Raw because like NXT wasn't around when I was a kid. So it was very much like, I want to be on Raw. I want to be a WWE superstar. Like, now people say that about NXT. But for me growing up, I wanted to be on Raw or on SmackDown. So the fact that I got to, like, have my real WWE debut on Raw against Asuka, and then it wasn't a squash.
It wasn't. It's a really good match.
50-50 was incredible. And I do this like nervous thing before these big moments that I wrestle, and like I get really emotional and really like I cry. And honestly, that whole day, like I just kept telling myself, like, you deserve this. You've worked your butt off. Like, you deserve this. And afterwards, the minute I saw Chelsea, I cried. But that was just really like one of the most positive things that I got out of this whole experience was to debut on Raw against Asuka, who I had worked with in NXT, and you know, like, was enhancement for, to go one-on-one and toe-to-toe with this person that, you know, I met down the road years and years ago was really, really exciting.
It's very clear that we haven't seen the full potential of Virtuosa. Who in NXT or Performance Center are we really sleeping on because we can't really see them?
My first instinct is to say Chelsea. She has an amazing thing going with Robert Stone right now, but Chelsea is such a crazy character, and we see glimpses of that in other companies. So I think like whatever this is building to and whatever they're doing with Robert Stone is going to be really, really amazing once it takes off. And like once she gets that upward trajectory, like there's no stopping her. And the same goes for Rob, honestly, because Rob is a crazy character too. So it's such a great pairing, and I'm so excited to see what they're going to do together. You know, Karen Q's injured right now. Yeah. But I think once she comes back, she is another one that's like a force to be reckoned with. Lacey Lane, Kaden Carter. Honestly, I've had some of my best matches in NXT. And we just like gel so well together. She became such a good friend of mine while I was there. So, you know, once they figure out what they want to do with her and she kind of gets that same trajectory, like I really think that she can do some amazing stuff. Her moveset is so innovative, and like I just loved working with her. So once she gets to work with like new people and put together new matches and show the world who she is, I think she's going to be a superstar.
Talking about the superstars, the it girls of NXT, the Rhea Ripley or Shotzi Blackheart or even like Shayna Baszler, what do you think is like the commonality? Like, what is WWE looking for?
I don't know. Because those people that you just named are so opposite sides of the spectrum from each other. So Shayna obviously is like legit UFC MMA fighter. And then you have Rhea, who is just like a badass. And then you have Shotzi, who's very I think character driven, and she's got the crazy hair and she comes out in the tank and like, which is so different than from Shayna, who comes out like, I'm ready to kill you. And, you know, like Rhea, who is just like a presence. I don't know what the commonality is. I think they all have that like star. They walk in the room and you look at them. So maybe it's that, but I don't know. I really couldn't tell you what they're looking for because I think everyone's like evolved in their own way over NXT. We've got to see that evolution of like what Shayna was on the Indies compared to what she is now. What Rhea was when she first got to NXT is not what Rhea is now. And I'm excited to see how Shotzi develops in that same way over her time there.
So obvious question for you is that what is next for Virtuosa? Who are like 3 people that you've been eyeing on outside of WWE that you really want to face outside?
Sheeta. I've never worked with Sheeta, so that is definitely like high on my list. And the same goes for Bea Priestley. I've never ever got to work with her. I've spent some time with her in Japan, but we've never wrestled. I don't want it all to be AEW driven.
It seems very clear.
And as much as I'd love to go there, you know, they have such a great women's division. And, you know, it's been so long since I've been in the ring with like Britt or any of those people. But, you know, Sheeta and B are like two people that I think are great. And I've never, ever gotten to be in the ring with. Kylie Ray, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Just signed with Impact. So I've had some amazing, amazing matches with her on the indies that I'd love to revisit now. I've never worked with Taya Valkyrie. So she's definitely high on the list too, because we've never stepped in the ring with each other.
And then you have some exciting projects coming up too, right?
Yes. Yeah, so Drew Cordero from Beyond Wrestling and I got together with IWTV, and we are creating like a little 3 or 4 part series. We just filmed episode 1, and it's going to span over the episodes basically up until this point of my career. So we're kind of watching some matches. We're talking about my training. We're talking about how I got all these crazy opportunities way before I was ready for them, and watching some of the matches from WWR that really like helped get my name out there, and that are some of my favorites.
And I got this question from a fan. I love this question. So Deonna, what about wrestling do you still love?
I don't think I've ever been able to like place my finger on like what about wrestling that I love. But I think it's the performance aspect. I think it's the confidence that it gives me to be who I've always thought I could be. I've loved wrestling since I was a kid, and it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do with my life. And just looking at the evolution of me from Knockouts Knockdown 2014, like this shy 19-year-old girl who had no idea what she was doing, to now, who we're talking to now, like this almost 26-year-old who's confident in who she is and her ability to stand up for herself and show the world who she really is. And then put on this character, the Virtuosa, who's sophisticated and elegant, which are all aspects of who I really am, but I don't necessarily show the world. So I think wrestling gives me the escape to be who I really am and to show the confidence that's within me that I don't get to show every day. The last thing, what do you want to say to your big fans? Message to them just in general. Oh, just in general, thank you. I think the last 2 weeks, you know, since I got fired was the outpour of love and the support that I felt is something I haven't felt since I left indie wrestling. And just to know that regardless of like what I've personally been through in the last, you know, almost 2 years, hasn't affected how the wrestling world has seen me and what the wrestling world wants of me, has been the most comforting thing that I've felt. And it just made me feel loved and made me feel wanted and accepted and ready to get back to who I was and what I was doing before NXT. So my biggest message to you guys watching is thank you. Thank you so much for all the support, for all the merch you bought, and just the love you showed me, the tweets, the comments, the likes. They don't go unnoticed, and they're not appreciated.
Deonna, to get all the updates, where can they find you?
Yeah, so everyone can follow me on Twitter at Deonna Purrazzo and on Instagram at Deonna Purrazzo. They're both verified, so don't let people that aren't verified fool you. They're not me.
That's where you're gonna see the rise of Deonna Purrazzo. Thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye.
Guys.